Hey, what's up you guys? So for this video, again, it's more so one of those like laid back type of videos. Nothing, I mean it is kind of serious, but in a different sorts. So for this, with CEO going on and with 4 Starfires taking place, you know, I don't doubt that there's going to be another patch. Honestly, her as a character in general, like, she's been a problem since like day 1. And nobody really addressed it, nobody really paid any mind to it up until now, which I find really hard to believe that a character so basic, so simple, took all this time to be like, oh wow, this character is actually like really retarded. You know? So given that, again, I don't doubt that there's going to be another patch. I don't think that Wonder Woman sucks. I don't think that she's top 10 by any means, but you know, she's not a bad character. She's not even, I think she's like upper mid with the way that the rest of the roster is. And the thing with that, for the most part, is just that she has good buttons up close. Like, she has good buttons in the ranges that most characters, they can't really afford to make mistakes, or else, you know, like, they'll get punished for it. Excuse me. Like, if a character whiffs a move like right around over here and she does an air shield, you know, she gets that damage, she gets those plus frames, and now she's able to go in. If they mess up close, she has like a 6 rank down 1, so, you know, she can blow stuff up like that. And that's really the main reason why she's so good. Like, that's why she's a good contender. And the same thing, if they do something that's negative, she can always just check them with like the bash. You know, and that's really the main thing. That's what makes her good. From my understanding, from labbing, you know, and grinding so many hours with her, it's really because of that. And then she gets, you know, like a really good damage output for everything that she does. My main thing is that I don't necessarily feel like she's lacking, but at the same time I do. And to explain that a little bit, I feel like her core tools in general, she's not necessarily lacking, but when it comes to utility and when it comes to commitment, like let's say for her trait, for example, like committing into trait, it's almost the same thing like in the first game. It's like you could have used sword stance in certain matchups, and you could have canceled from lasso stance into sword stance for additional pressure, but ultimately you really didn't have to. Like, you can play the entire game, every single matchup, strictly in lasso stance, and that's it. You didn't even have to go into trait. And it's almost the same exact thing in this game. It's like, I pop trait, literally the only one that I'm hoping for is Athena. Athena is the only buff I'm ever hoping for, because it's the only one that actually has use. Like, I don't even care for Hermes at this point, because it's like, I feel like I just get so much more mileage just strictly with Athena's. And that's kind of my issue with her. It's like, one, it was so contradictory and it was so stupid. This is directed completely towards Paulo and to 16-bit. Like, you guys talk about Harley and you're like, okay, we had to rework her trait because randomness shouldn't be a factor in a competitive scene. And literally 2 seconds later, you're like, okay, Wonder Woman, your trait is random, you know, good luck. And then it's like the trait itself wasn't even designed well, like to be random. And then they go ahead and release a character like Hellboy, who has the same exact type of trait as she does, except he gets to choose, even though she doesn't. So I personally, I would like if she could choose her trait, but at the same time, her trait is still lacking. Like, everything that she does, it's still lacking. My compromise in general, like overall, before I even go in depth with it, my compromise would be that she gets a little bit less damage, like overall, like in her base moveset, she does less damage. But then the perk of it would be like when she goes into trait, whatever it is that she's using, it makes up for that little bit that she got nerfed in. Let me set this thing. Hestia, like Hestia, for example. It's like, that's the only good thing about this buff, is only if you do these 2 hits. That's it. Because you can see that huge damage burst. Because look, if you don't do it, you see drastic damage difference. But that's the only thing. Everything else behaves exactly the same. You see, like, the damage difference is nearly non-existent. Like, if I do lasso grab, it does 142. Again, I don't pay attention to these numbers. This is 165. Like, it's literally like, it's not even 2%. It's only like a 1% increase, that's it. The only difference is just because of the second hit. That's the only thing that Hestia has going for it. That's it. And, you know, that's not good. So basically the point that I'm getting at is that I wouldn't mind if they nerfed her damage all around, like just a tiny bit, and like added the scaling a little bit. But then, like, let's say she goes into Hestia and she starts using lasso-based attacks, it brings that damage back up to what it originally was. Because as it stands now, it's basically exactly the same. So it literally makes no difference, whatever buff you're in. The only buff that actually makes a difference is Athena. Like, you actually notice a difference. And because she uses shield-based attacks in so many BNBs, you know, like, you can actually see it. You can actually notice the difference. So that's my general gloss over thing. And the main reason why I brought Fate over is that the way that I want to, like, improve upon her trait is that if it's gonna stay random, it should be that whatever it is that lands, she's able to gain some benefit off of it, you know, just something. Because look at somebody like Fate. When he has this, you know, like, it buffs this move in general. It buffs his grab. He's able to now combo off of it. It buffs the orb. It buffs the damage. It buffs the projectiles. It alters their frame data. Because when he does this, without trait, when he does this, there's actually a gap in between every single hit. Where you can, like, you can either armor through it, or, like Wonder Woman, she can actually parry in between every single hit. Obviously it's situational, it's like dependent on matchups, but that's the thing, like, you can actually do that. However, when he's in trait, he gets a damage buff and he gets better frames, and those gaps get removed entirely because they travel faster. So he has all of that. He gets a buffed glyph that he can now combo off of. You know, like, it's a buff over, like, all around. Like, he goes into trait and it buffs everything about the character. Same with Green Lantern. It buffs so many different things, like, it buffs, like, all these properties all over the place. I'm trying to think of any other character where it's basically, when they go into trait, it's like a power-up. I guess, like, Superman. He goes into trait, and he gets a huge damage output now, and he gets to shred armor. You know, like, anything that's armor-based, it's just irrelevant to him. Same with, like, Bane. You know, like, any special that he does now gains, like, instant armor. So he plays like an MKX character, he can just armor through any gap no matter how small it is. Whereas other characters need like a 4-frame, 5-frame gap in order to get like an armor back 3 or forward 3. So those are my examples, that's what I mean. Because the thing with her is that she doesn't work that way. Like, where's Demeter? If I decide to take the time out to pop trait and I get Demeter, I literally gained nothing. I just wasted my momentum, my frames, my spacing, everything to get a literally useless buff. Because this thing is more or less exactly like Ivy's. Like, look. Where's reversal? Where's the... Okay, here we go. So look. I block this, you see 19.25, right? This is just to show an example. There's absolutely no difference in chip. Like, I still take chip, so it doesn't matter. I don't do any more damage, I don't get any crazy, you know, like, armor properties, nothing. The only benefit off of that trait is if I get hit. So I think it's kind of stupid. It's like, so is that incentive? It's like, are you telling me that I should just hang myself? You know? and then it's like, okay, well, you're not going to get punished as hard, but, you know, you go ahead, hang yourself, you know, just play stupid. Because that itself is just stupid, that's retarded. Like, a character shouldn't work that way. Like, telling a character to hang themselves just is not a good design. And the damage difference, I think it's only like about 10%, if even that. So it's like, getting 10% less from like a full-blown BNB may sound nice, but it's like, it's still like, when most characters are dishing out like 40% BNBs, 50% BNBs, it's like, it's not really helping me too much, because all they have to do is just land one more hit again, like land another launcher, and I'm back at square one of just eating all that damage regardless. So my main suggestion would be is to just reduce the chip. like so that she takes no chip whatsoever. Because again, like what I was explaining before, the philosophy behind it, if she's going to go into trait, every single buff that she gets, because it's going to be completely random, it should benefit her like overall. Like it should be something that she can work with, you know. So it's like if she gets this, it's like okay, she gets nothing in terms of like aggressiveness, but on the plus side she gets her defense buff, so it's like she doesn't take any chip when she's in this. Because look at somebody like Ivy. Ivy basically has this buff as a special, is her bark skin, except she gets to build meter off of it, and she gets to use it whenever she feels like it. She takes no chip and she takes reduced damage. And I'm not sure about if their damage reduction is exactly the same, but it's like Wonder Woman should be taking less damage than what Ivy takes when she's in bark skin. If it's already like that, then fine, but if it's not, then she just should, because she doesn't have a choice, you know. It's like if this is completely random, that should be a factor. So I would personally do that, and this is one little thing. It doesn't have to happen, but I think that it would help in terms of like in terms of the defense buff. I feel like when she has Demeter active, if she does back 3 or forward 3, I feel like she should have 2 hits of armor. I don't think that it should change the damage or anything like that, change the, you know, frame advantage or whatever, frame data overall. It should just be that whenever she does like a back 3 or forward 3, she should get 2 hits of armor. I think that that would be fair, because she still needs to utilize meter for it, and it's only when it's in this trait, you know, like with this buff. So that's what I would personally change with the meter. I'm like way too lazy to like upload like the rest of the footage or whatever, like jump into the first version or whatever. Honestly, the air dash is not that great, because look, this happens. You can't really cross anybody up. It's either you land directly in front of them, or you land so far behind that nothing happens, you see? Like there's nothing that's gonna cross up with this. So the only thing that you can really use this for is just for some added mobility and like some evasiveness, and that's it. And in most situations, you're just better staying on the ground and then just punishing them and checking them on reaction. You know, because like I can't do a lasso grab when I'm in the air to contest people that are trying to play in this range. You know, like if they whip something, I can't do this in the air and then land a lasso. Not always, because, you know, this has less range, as you can see. So my personal thing, my thing that I would add on to the Hermes buff is that she gets to jump 1 from the first game. Her jump 1 looks very different than this, and she could actually cross up with it. Like it would hit like this. See, like with this, you see how it's hitting in front? It would actually have hit on the other side in the first game, the way that her jump 1 was set up. Same with this. It would have actually hit him. And when she, look at this, I do my jump 1 instantly, and it's like it has like no active frames, right? It's like it's done by the time I'm there. The way that her jump 1 worked in the first game, it had more range because her leg was full on just like sticking downward, and it actually acted like a falling statue, just like every single other jump in this game is. Her jump 1 was basically like Catwoman's jump 1, how it is now. That's how her jump 1 was in the first game. Or like Canary's jump 2. So I would just improve the Hermes buff so that she gets access to that specific jump in only when it's in Hermes, so that way she actually, even if she's not air dashing, she can at least try to cross people up, or she just has a better jump in now for the time being that the trait is, you know, like that it's active. But that's it. It's like, you know, don't change like the damage or anything like that. Just change the move itself, so that's actually like a viable jump in to use. But yeah, that's how I would change Hermes. Athena, again, I think it's perfect as it is. I would prefer if the shields did more damage, like a little bit more. But I mean, I can live with the way that it is right now. So yeah, Athena, I'll be fine with how it is. I'm actually gonna cover the bracelets after. Hestia, like what I was saying before. I would remove this damage a little bit. Here's the thing, here's 2 things, well, several things that I want to change with Hestia. Hestia doesn't do anything except for this thing. except for this one string. That's the only thing that it actually affects. Everything else is completely null and void. It doesn't matter what you do. It's exactly the same. The chip is non-existent either. Look, that's 4.27, 6.61. Like, can you tell the difference in the health bar? Because I know I can't. Like, I don't notice that pixel. So there's that, right? The way that I would change Hestia would be her down 2. While it is decent, she can't down 2 on reaction to people if they're just strictly just jumping at her. You know, she doesn't have a 6 frame down 2, an 8 frame down 2, like Catwoman, like Flash, like Batman, like Atom, Enchantress, literally every character in the game, Supergirl. Like, she can't just crouch, she can't just sit, wait for somebody to just do like an instant jump and then just down 2 them straight out. Like, she can't do that. That's why she has to play at a range, so that she can actually see the person jumping at her from like half the screen away and be like, oh, okay, you're jumping, let me just down 2. What I would change is to increase the speed of this only when it's in Hestia. I would reduce it to 10 frames. So that way it's faster, she can do things a lot more on reaction. Because certain jump-ins like Sub-Zero, like Ivy, like I think Supergirl behaves the same way too. It's like if they do a jump-in as they're jumping at her, they have this really retarded property where the down 2 will go right through their bodies. Like, for some reason, it just goes right through them. So, like, Wonder Woman players, like people that grind her out a lot, they know the matchups where this happens more frequently. So we're forced to wait a little bit longer so that they're lower to the ground, so that it's not going to go right through their bodies. But by that point, half of the time, if not most of the time, they're already too low that they're going to hit you before your lasso makes contact with them. So I think that this would just help out in that specific aspect. I would prefer if down 2 itself was faster in general, but I can live with it being the way that it is, but you know, like, it gets its speed buffed when it's in Hestia. I wouldn't increase the range or anything like that, just increase the startup. So there's that. I would do the same exact thing with back 2-3. I would remove this damage burst that it has, and I would revert it back to the startup and the range basically exactly like how it was in Injustice 1. In Justice 1, her back 2-3 was just, it had more range, it was a lot faster, and there was no gap in between these 2 hits. It was -4 on block. That's totally fine, I can trade the plus frames for that, but it's like, whether it's in Hestia or not, there's always this gap, and every single character can just armor right in between it. And I was explaining it in my redesign videos. I think it's so stupid. It's like, it doesn't launch, you know, it doesn't do massive chip, it doesn't do massive damage, and it's like there's just, the plus frames that she gains off of this aren't really all that worth it. And look, this move doesn't even behave properly. The plus frames, she's still all the way over here. So it's like, it's not like she can really capitalize on the plus frames all that much. It works a little bit better when it's in the corner, but even so, it's like, it's still, like, characters still have options. You see, like, we traded hits, even though I'm technically moving faster. So there's that. So I would, when she's in Hestia, I would revert it back to the Injustice 1 version, where it's like, it had a lot more advantage. It was an actual hard knockdown. It was faster, there was no gap, and it had like a little bit more range. So I would change it to that. And it looked so much better too. I don't know, like aesthetically and playstyle wise, like it was just better. So I would do it so that it reverts back to that whenever she's in Hestia. But again, also remove like this enormous damage burst. Like have the string itself do more damage, sure, but you know, not that much where it's that big of a difference when it's already getting like all these other perks, you know, being faster, having more range, having no gap. So I would do that. And with the lasso grab itself, I would do it so that if she meter burns it, it behaves like the first game where you can actually just dash up and still have some plus frames and then still initiate pressure afterwards. Like if you wanted to, or you can just like dash up and then armor. Or it's like, let's say you land the meter burn version, you know, like she can bash up. Oh wow. What the? My bash isn't coming out. So she can bash up. Same with like the 113 Ender. Like, you know how she can do 113 and then bash up and still have some plus frames? I would do it so that the ending like this, only when she's in Hestia, behaves the same way. She can bash up, still have some plus frames, and then go onward from there. Because as it is right now, Meter Burn Lasso, it doesn't behave that way. Like, it looks like it does, because when I bashed up, that's when he was just getting up, but that's just the way that the animations actually are. Like, she literally only has like that little bit of frame advantage. She's only like plus 13, plus 15, somewhere in that range. The bash itself, the entire duration of it takes like 40 frames. Like, for her to do the bash, travel, recover, like it's somewhere in that range. So that's how I would just change Hestia overall. And then the last one, Artemis. Artemis has its perks in a sense of it makes her a really good comeback factor, but I think it's ultimately stupid. I think, not stupid in the sense of like it's just dumb, I think it's just more so stupid in the sense that it's still kind of useless. Because a smart player is not going to give you the opportunity to do a parry and then to just combo punish them off of it for like a 70% BNB. You know, like they're just not going to let you happen. Like, they're not going to let you do it. If they're smart, if they know the matchup, if they're not retarded, plain and simply, they won't let you do it. So it makes it pretty much, you know, just stupid. Like, it makes it irrelevant. I know I'm using the word stupid so much, but it's just because it is. So the way that I would change Artemis is I would keep the whole duration aspect. So let me actually put him back to reversal. Okay, so look. So look at how the red glows. You see how it only lasted a little bit of time? But now when she has Artemis's buff, look at how long it lasts. See, it's still glowing, still now it just went away. I would keep that aspect, but I would not keep the damage buff itself. Just to show you. See, I did that with the damage buff, she did 410, right? If I did the normal BNB on its own, it only did 348. So you can see there's already a bit of a jump. But now when she has Artemis on, see, it's a drastic jump. It's nice, it's cool, I guess it's kind of hype, but the thing is, I need viability. Like, I need utility. I need a move to actually work and, you know, to be of use. So I would trade it over. Like, the compromise would be, when she's in Artemis, I need this to be a frame faster. Because a lot of gaps in the game, they're actually 4 frames. But the thing is, it's like her bracelets on their own, it's 5 frames, so she can't even parry it. Batman and Catwoman, they can parry a whole bunch of things because their parries are the fastest in the game, but she can't because it's literally 1 frame off. So I would buff it so that this is just 1 frame faster when she's in Artemis, so that she can actually parry through a whole bunch of gaps, and it's a little bit easier to parry on reaction to things that are coming her way. I would keep the damage buff duration, like how you saw how long her bracelets they were glowing. I would keep the duration, but I would not keep the damage buff. I would do it so that the damage buff that she gains off of it is the same exact thing as on default, like without the Artemis buff on. So she still gets the damage buff, but it's the same exact thing as she always gets, it just lasts longer. But the parry itself would just be like 1 frame faster. I would do it where it's 1 frame faster, and the recovery is a little bit less. Like, just shave it down a couple of frames, like 10 frames or so. Because, like, look, I'm holding up, look at how long it takes for her to move again, like on whiff. So I would just do it just so that she actually has the means to, like, parry stuff a little bit quicker. She can meter build with this a little bit better. Just so that, again, whatever trait that she goes into, whatever buff that she gets, it actually helps her out as the match is going. But they don't all help out exactly the same way. They all do something different. Which is how it should be, you know, that's how all the other traits work, that's how any buff in general works. And if hers is going to stay random, then, you know, that much more. But yeah, that's all that I can really think of. That's mainly what I want to see changed with her. Like, I would love it if back 2 were to actually function properly, like it would hit people out of the air. At this point, I'm so exhausted of making videos and pointing it out. Like, it's pretty clear that they're not going to change it, even though there's no logical reason. There's no logical explanation as to why they're not going to change it. So I guess I can just live with it. I mean, I have no choice, really. Like, you know, whatever. They think that that's okay, but, you know, other characters, they can just hit you from behind, and that's totally fine. And one minor thing that I would adjust with her is, one, fix her down 1-2. That's one big thing. Fix it so that this doesn't happen. If the down 1-2 is going through their bodies, make it hit them. Either do that, or make the second hit a lot faster. Because in a lot of B&Bs, see, I have to wait for them to get so close to the ground so that I know for sure that it's going to hit. But at that point, when they're that low, whatever cancel I want to go into afterwards, it's most likely going to miss. Like if I'm trying to go into a lasso, right? Because like this lasso, it's going to connect, right? Because the juggle wasn't that high. But it's like I have to wait for them to get so low to the ground to be sure that my next special is going to connect. You know, or like not to be sure that it connects, but to be sure that the second hit of down 1-2 connects. But because I'm waiting for them to be so low to the ground, my special can miss, and a lot of times it does. See, like if I wanted to do it there, because I'm like, okay, they're high enough. See, like here, you can visually tell, it's like, okay, they are high enough. So, you know, my next special is not going to miss. The thing is, it's like when the gravity and the juggles extend a little bit longer, that's not the case. So either make the second hit a lot faster, so that way we don't have, like if we do wait as long, you know, it's quick enough that the special should still connect, or just fix the move, you know, like pick one. You know, like either make something work right, or try to compromise for your own mistakes, that you don't know how to design something. So that's one. And then two, make some use of this. Like, I don't understand why this string exists. There's a gap in between the last two hits. It's negative on block. You do not get a combo off of it. You do not get massive damage off of it. She doesn't do chip off of it. She cannot cancel out of it. So what is the point of this string? She doesn't have a long moveset. There needs to be some use for this. You know, like, if anything, make it so that she can cancel into like an air special, like an air shield or something, while at the same time giving her like a damage boost, like a little damage burst off of doing this. Because it's like, honestly, like this move is literally useless. Like there's no point in ever using it. And sometimes you may even get it out by accident, depending on what you're doing, like on hit or on block. And just to show you also, even if you're using it on block, it actually has a potential to whiff entirely, as you can see. Like, let's say you're trying to check them with this, right? And the opponent is continually moving back, so that's what leaves you at that range. It can cause it to whiff, and then you get punished for it. Because it has a lot of recovery. Look, I'm going to be holding up after I make it miss. Oh my god. See, I'm holding up. It took that much time. So, I don't know, just make it useful or something. Like, make something happen from it. I don't even want plus frames. I need something. Or at least make it become like a bit of a launcher where she can connect like a down 1-2 or something. Or she can connect like 1-1 so that she can do this. You know, like it bounces them up, then I can do this, cancel into that, and keep it going from there. You know, or it's like if I do this, and I can do that, cancels down 1-2 into a lasso for meterless B&B. Just something, you know? Like, the move is just so useless. Like, why does it even exist? But yeah, those are just my suggestions. And again, like I was explaining at the start, you know, if it helps, like, I can totally live with giving her like a bit of a damage reduction, like 3% or 4%, like all around on like all her damage, and then she makes up for that difference whenever she's in a trait, you know, like in a trait buff. But yeah, again, I don't think that she sucks. I don't think that she's anywhere near bottom, but it's like she can't really contend as well simply because of the lack of tools and the lack of utility, and also the lack of things working properly. down 2 going through people, back 2 going through people, jump 3 going through people, down 1 2 going through people. Meter burning, your shield tosses going through people, as you can see. You know, like that. This is what hinders a character from actually being used at a top level. Like in turning play, look again, it misses. Same with this. The air shield. Connects on block, does not connect on hit. Oh, look at that. I just wasted my meter for nothing. Because why should testers actually know what they're doing? So yeah. I can't really think of anything else. I mean, there's like little bits and pieces here and there, but those are the key things. So yeah. I hope that this is seen. I hope that this is taken into consideration. Please, you know, like leave your comments below and all that stuff. And I will be releasing more videos soon. I'm not sure exactly of what, but yeah, you guys can definitely look forward to seeing more Wonder Woman videos. I'm thinking about doing another combo video, but yeah. Alright, I'm talking too much at this point. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good day or night, and take care.